Welcome back, my dear soldiers. How are you? Welcome to Simu RPG. And once again, here we are to debunk all the theories and all the amazing things on Final Fantasy VII Remake. Well, with the approaching third installment of this amazing remake, we are so eager to get back to it after 5 years. And today, we're going to check out Chapter 8. Final Fantasy VII Remake is full of hidden meanings and timeline mysteries, but one of the most mysterious chapters is Chapter 8, Budding Bodyguard. This is not just the moment Cloud meets Aerith. It's a chapter that may reveal Aerith's knowledge of the fate, the truth about the Whispers, and even hints about Jack's timeline. Today we're breaking down the deepest theories behind Chapter 8. Let's start with Cloud's fall. After the battle with the Airbuster, Cloud drops into Sectors 5 Church, mirroring the original game. But here's the real question. Was this just an accident? Or was fate ensuring this moment happen? As we saw in the last video, there are a few things that the Whispers do not engage with Cloud or any other character. It's the moments that are deemed right, that they are deemed the right timeline and the right course of action. The biggest issue, once again, is the Whispers don't intervene. If you remember from earlier chapters, the Whispers always step in when something threatens fate. But here, nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is as if Cloud and Aerith were always meant to meet here. No, because Cloud could have died, that drop would be, very, very hard on the player if he actually drops from that height and just dies. No, the game would be over, right? Could it be that the planet itself guided Cloud to Aerith? Is this not just fate, but something even deeper? And once again, we have Cloud here, with a flashback of something that in this timeline never happened yet. So that brings us another question. Is the fate about to change in Final Fantasy VII Remake? Well, most of us that are known for playing this more than once and know some of the lore, or even, other players, do think that there are endless timelines on Final Fantasy VII, and that the Whispers of Fate are trying to put all of them as a single one. All of the events to happen. And that's the meaning and the purpose of the Whispers. Of course, it's not an easy task, but from the moment Cloud meets Aerith, something feels off, right? She seems to know things she shouldn't, and we see that even now, in the very beginning of this chapter, she seems to be hiding knowledge. Wait, but how does Aerith know what the Whispers are? Cloud is confused. We're confused. But Aerith already understands. This is our first major hint that Aerith has knowledge beyond beyond this timeline, and we see that in the second chapter. This line is new to the remake, and it doesn't feel like just a flirty remark. It almost sounds like a warning that she knows what's coming. But how much does she really know about what is coming? Well, we see then Reno arrives, but this fight reveals something really strange. The whispers suddenly appear, not just near Cloud and Aerith, but around Reno too. By the end of this fight, we're going to see Reno, not in very good shape, and we see that Cloud is merciless. He goes all the way in, and this fight is really fun to do. It's really enjoyable, and as we can see, as soon as this fight ends, Cloud will not hold back, or will try not to hold back on this. Of course, that we can see that the whispers and even Aerith, they stop that. Reno is really in bad shape right now, and Cloud was immediately going to the final strike, but then the whispers, what do? Just throw them back. So, if the whispers are supposed to protect Destiny, why are they interfering here? Could it be that Shinra was about to change something they weren't supposed to? Or does this moment tie into a bigger fight between Shinra and the forces controlling fate? Well, it almost feels like this isn't just Cloud versus Shinra, is Cloud versus Shinra versus Destiny itself. And of course, there's a lot of nuances on this amazing part of the game, in this chapter. So important in a way that maybe we don't even see it as a full picture on it. They are the fates right now, have a purpose, and so many things went wrong, and we see actively the whispers around the scenario. A lot of things got wrong on this, Cloud could have died, Reno could have died, Aerith could have died, because we see the Shinra soldiers firing again, but they actually escape with the aid of the whispers.
So does no one live in these buildings?
It is true.
Looks kinda rusty.
I'll go first. It's pretty old.
It is true that
Okay.
most of the things are not
You worry too
quite as it seems,
much. Princess needs to be caught.
especially
Shit.
on this timeline.
Whew. That was unexpected.
But it's very difficult to understand
There it is. The wall.
why the whispers are so active on this chapter, in later chapters as well, but on this one, so in the beginning of the story, they are just
Maybe more than I
getting
can
into it.
handle, I think.
Everything
Even now.
could have been wrong on this chapter, true,
Lungs. But I don't. How could I?
but was the whispers really needed to appear like this?
Blending together.
Because they were all over the church, actively working And it's crazy because it was so obvious what they were doing, and they were so actively messing with the timeline in this chapter that I wonder if this is not one of the most important chapters of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's just crazy the amount of interference that they did on this chapter. Well, of course, this is approaching a very, very, very big thing in this game, which is, wall market, the drop of the seventh plate. But more than that, the fact that Aerith and Cloud's fate are connected is probably the biggest reason for this chapter have so much interference of the whispers. Because Aerith's flowers are more than just a cute moment. And we're going to see in the video just that. And if you guys played Final Fantasy VII, the OG, and even the one where Zack is the protagonist, you will see that collecting flowers, like we're going to do on this chapter, has a deeper meaning. And once again, this doesn't happen in the OG timeline. So we need to wonder if there actually is something to be related with Zack's timeline. Or even if those three are connected, Zack's, Aerith, and Cloud destinies connected, well, it would make sense, and it does make sense that they are. But why are we seeing this in such a big way on Final Fantasy VII Remake? And of course, Sector 5 slums are way bigger now, and with lots to see and lots to do. And another thing that we didn't had on the OG, and most people will say, oh, but the technicalities and stuff, and they wanted to get the game bigger, so they had a few more cutscenes and stuff. But those cutscenes have a deeper meaning, in my opinion, to it. Now, like we talked on the last video, we see a way different thing, which is a lot different from the main game. Shinra is much more active, like Heidegger, like Scarlet, President Shinra. They are really way more active in this game than in the previous Final Fantasy VII OG. Once again comes to the thought that maybe they know more about the fate and the whispers and everything that is interconnected to it. Of course, we gotta love it, because now those secondary characters are really, really in sync with the story, and it's beautiful because you saw Scarlet right now, such a vibe. Heidegger, such a vibe, and everything in between ties up. One of my biggest theories is that Shinra knows.
Nice side effect of the train situation.
Shinra knows about the Whispers of Fate.
But
Shinra knows about the timelines. I'm almost certain of that. Could it be by Ojo, by Sephiroth? Well,
I help out every now
I,
and then.
I don't know. But I think they do know about.
Well. What are you doing all
That is why I
Was trying to get a look at the reaction.
pushed this content
Who's this guy?
to be 5 years after.
Harry. And currently my bodyguard.
No,
That's Oates.
Aerith's flowers are more than just a cute moment, like I said. They symbolize fate itself. But there's where things get crazy right here.
So,
We're gonna get that part where Aerith and Cloud are collecting flowers for the orphanage. The same flowers appear in Zack's timeline in both versions of the story.
I'm home.
Hey, baby.
Aerith flowers
You no good?
are unchanged. And here we see,
Come on, Elmira.
Elmira looking to Cloud, kind of recognizing him. Of course,
Care of her?
he looks like Zack. He's like a clone of Zack.
Yep. Hey.
Oh, because of the mannerisms and everything in between. Because he thinks he's Zack, mercenary Zack now. Of course. And
Does Hurt show up again?
It'd suck.
the flowers on this,
Honestly, I'm much more worried about you.
might symbolize so many,
Just to admit it,
many
so
things.
just keep on going.
What if,
Acting like you know me.
Mom, I'm gonna go take Cloud over
what
to
if
FF7.
they actually a bridge between the timelines? Because the flowers did not change, they didn't change. And this amazing sentence that Claude said, stop,
That's true. She's got a point.
stop,
Hold on.
Oh yeah. I still need to deliver some flowers to the
showing
Since we have a little time before dinner,
that you know me,
you should come with
I wasn't.
that you,
You mean you want more?
that I'm someone that you know for a long time,
Anyway, do you know what I promised
You know?
them?
I'll do it.
So
I'll go grab
what
them.
if
Be right back.
this whole session in Aerith's house, picking up the flowers and delivering the flowers to the Leaf House, which is this mission right here, Leaf House delivery. What if it's just a connection,
It must be tough.
a bridge between the timelines? What if Aerith's connection to these flowers is proof that she knows something bigger is happening? Something that is way different in a sense of the OG timeline. For example, the flowers are the same, the characters are different. Because we saw Zack doing that with Aerith. In the main game, the Final Fantasy VII OG, we don't see Cloud doing it. So this can be a connect. Could Aerith be aware that Cloud and Zack destinies are linked up?
You take this one.
They are not the same person, that's for sure. We know that, and we'll see that as well. But they are, no doubt, connected in some way. And which that brings once again
And these right here.
to the Whispers. Once again, the Whispers are doing something in this chapter, this big chapter that we see. The Whisper's true purpose
Any of them.
Oh, don't be like
which remains to be seen.
You have an eye for this kind of thing.
Are they protecting or trying to control the actions around? So throughout this chapter, the Whispers do something strange. They help Aerith and Cloud escape together, like we saw.
Interesting, right?
And they make sure that Cloud stays with her.
I
But
think we
why?
still need a few more. What should we pick next?
Why do they, in the early chapters, they didn't intervene so
Nice try, mister.
hardly, so powerfully? And in chapter 8, they go nuts in front of
You can carry
anyone.
maybe a few more?
Now, especially Reno and Shinra soldiers, and in front of them they just went crazy. Now, what if the Whispers aren't just protecting Fate, they are forcing Cloud and Aerith together? Could it be that their meeting is so crucial to the timeline that it cannot be changed? Nothing around this,
I think we're good now.
the way they meet,
Shall we go?
can be changed. That early stage needed to happen exactly like it did in the first game,
I'll wait
in
out.
the first OG part of the game.
But I might be a while.
Well, indeed, it is crazy that the Whispers were so active this time in a chapter that, although it's important, the rest of the chapter is kind of a bridge until they reach another crucial part of the game. You know, we had side missions, but once again, we have Cloud envisioning, you know, Sephiroth having another vision about the reunion, which, well, you shouldn't have those in such an early stage of the game, right?
Then we're safe.
They barely know what the reunion is, they didn't talk with Ojo,
Work at it.
they do not know about reunion.
Mr. Popular.
It makes zero sense, you know. And once again, this chapter goes into the Zack connection, the glimpse into another timeline. When it jumps, you know, when we see another one of those Ojo experiments, wanted to go to the reunion, touching Cloud, Sephiroth appearing once again.
Right, Cloud?
All of this chapter 8, you know, all of this timeline stuff,
Tifa?
and the fractured memory of Cloud, like we saw here.
Is Tifa like
This ties up
girlfriend?
to the very
But she's
ending,
special.
It's not like that.
and subtly connects to Zack's storyline at the end of the game.
I see.
This means that Aerith's presence isn't just tied to Cloud, her fate is deeply linked to Zack too. And if that's the case, could she subconsciously know that Zack still exists in another timeline? Is that why she hesitated in this chapter so much? Because Cloud talks about, you know, Soldier. She just seemed a bit sad. You know, and once again we see here, this was not in the main game, once again.
Wait.
That she runs to help the specimen Hojo specimen. And as soon,
Not him. It looks
you
pretty
know,
awesome.
as this guy touch
Number. But why 2?
Cloud, there will be the vision for the reunion. You know, we see Sephiroth talking about the reunion. Is Aerith seeing Sephiroth as well? Because he can. And look this. Cloud, get it together. Come on. Like she knows something.
Do you?
Sephiroth, the warrior.
Of course Aerith knows Sephiroth,
Died in an accident 5 years ago.
you know, in all the story.
On the news.
But
Maybe they did.
just that?
But I've got a feeling.
And then Cloud saying, but I've got a feeling that he's alive?
Oh, right.
See, that right here. Oh, right. This is, no doubt about it, the expression that shows that she knows way more about timelines, about Sephiroth, about Zack being alive in other timeline.
Hello.
That's the expression
What do you want?
that in this chapter is so important.
He your new boy toy?
And without a doubt, we can see that
Wait a minute.
she knows.
Those eyes.
She knows something.
Is he the one who beat up Reno?
Way,
If I am.
way before it's
I
happening.
need to cross my T's, dot my I's. That's all.
So, Aerith might not have full memories of what is happening or everything
Even
that's
be. Rude's not a bad person. Really.
been doing by the Whispers,
But like it or not, I sometimes.
but she knows something isn't right, and that's the biggest mystery of all. She knows deep inside that something in this timeline is either different
You Turks are all the same.
or
All bark. No bite.
that the Whispers are working towards it to make it,
Talk.
you know, less different,
Get ready.
No need to get rough.
and especially
Shit.
to help the Whispers getting things done and change probably
Anytime.
the future, you know, of this timeline, this specific timeline, to transform it in the OG timeline. Because it's where Shinra loses, it's where Sephiroth loses. And we all know by then that Sephiroth now it's trying just to, you know, change things once again in order to not lose. In order to his plan go forward, go ahead. And Aerith somehow knows all that. So what does all of this mean?
My turn?
Let's recap. Let's recap the biggest series from chapter 8. So, Cloud's fall wasn't just luck, it was fate or even the planet itself guiding him. Aerith seems to have knowledge of the past and future, possibly remembering another timeline. The Whispers here interfere not just to protect Fate, but to force Cloud and Aerith's meeting. And we already talked about the importance of a meeting like that. Not just on the first chapter, or in this case in the second chapter, but also in the 8th chapter. The other one is that the flowers, Aerith flowers that we collect, or that we see, the yellow ones, symbolize connections between timelines, especially between Zack and Cloud. And when she sells the first flower to Cloud back on chapter 2, she tells Cloud that, oh, this symbolizes reunion. And this, it's definitely the biggest hint that she knows something about the past timelines. That, and the fact that she knows something about Sephiroth being alive. Well, Aerith may subconsciously know Zack's fate is different than before. And that is one of the biggest one, because we definitely know, and if you played the game already, we know that Zack, and we don't know the timeline, he is alive. And she knows. Not consciously, maybe, but subconsciously, she knows that Zack's fate is way different. Well, Chapter 8 is not just about Cloud meeting Aerith. It's about the struggle between fate, destiny, and hidden memories of a past life, or a different timeline. The question for this, and hopefully you'll get me to know that in the comments, is how much does Aerith really know in this chapter? How much does she know? Well, definitely there is some hints, but I do think that she will, during the game and during the next chapters, she will, make us see what she really knows about timelines. My dears, let me know in the comments, do you think Aerith remembers, or that she is aware of timelines? Because remembering the first timeline is one thing, being aware of so many timelines, it's a whole different one. Well, and of course, if you enjoyed this deep dive on this chapter 8, which is one of the greatest chapters here, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, because we have so many more chapters to go. And not only that, I'm gonna have intermission, and then after that, rebirth. And the plan is, when we reach more information about the third installment, we're going to play it live on the channel, and not only that, we'll start the theories until the end of the third installment of Final Fantasy VII Remake. So, if you love Final Fantasy VII theories, especially these 3 games that we're going to have, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, comment, and, well, until next time, stay free, soldier. Thank you so much for watching. We all appreciate your support.
What are you doing here?
Waiting.
Why?
because I'm not sick of you yet.